You're already ahead of 90% of people if you know how to communicate. It is statistically proven that if you can speak better, you'll earn more income, seize more business opportunities, and experience higher attraction from the opposite sex. I've spent decades of time studying social skills, deploying them and growing my business and achieving success in my personal life. Having communication skills is the most important skill you can have today. Knowing this can make the difference between acing that job interview and getting a job offer, or failing it and being stuck in fight or flight mode. Knowing how to communicate can help you get your dream girlfriend, or it can help you connect with someone you just want to be your best friend. Communicating effectively is the required superpower to start your business idea, recruit people to join your team, convince investors to add capital to support your growth, and ultimately to get clients to buy your product or service. Everything is communication. If you don't know this vital skill set, you are doomed to live a life of excuses and what ifs. Trust me, you don't want to go down that road of regret. So how do you improve your ability to communicate? How do you get that dream job, your promotion? How do you communicate your value in the dating market to get your ideal dream partner? I'm going to tell you the secret. It starts with a story of who I was in elementary school. I remember I was first a nerdy kid that loved playing video games, but also enjoyed playing sports and learned socialization slowly on the boys and girls playground. Thankfully, I made friends pretty easily with the other nerdy types, but I did have a huge crush on this girl at school. She was the perfect, dreamy, popular type. It was 5th grade. We were seniors in elementary, and somehow we both ended up in a competition running for class president. She had a list of values and things she would do for the school, and I ran on a ticket mostly trying to get absolute freedom for students and more snack machines. There was this subtle tension between us, both one of competition and attraction. Before election day, we had a big crowd of students gathered around for a greased lightning stage play. I was given the mic by one of the teachers and somehow managed to sing my part without fumbling it in front of everyone. Of course, I slipped in my candidacy for president and I got a huge cheer from the crowd. Later, my opponent and we were hanging out and I could feel a huge change in her demeanor towards me. She was more attracted to me than before. What happened in this change of communication is below the surface level of what words you choose to say, and instead the vibe you give off by doing something challenging, like getting in front of a big crowd and speaking. Having a lot of people react to you is a secret way to hack into status that accelerates your mindset frame and communication to be more the cause and people at the effect of you. This is a subtle nuance that can be explained in another way as momentum. It's the magic aura behind celebrities, famous people, or leaders in industries. Getting up in front of a big crowd gets a large number of people reacting to you at once and unstifles your brain from being just an average Joe kid to now a superhuman kid with a mountain of magnetism. The other way to do this in communication is throughout your day, take small actions to communicate. This takes pressure off of having to perform one big charisma flex in front of a crowd. Instead, you build up through micro interactions to form this sort of halo around your head effect. You're socializing enough where you're slowly getting out of your head, letting go of self-centeredness and flowing into an egoless, selfless state. Again, practicing communication skills builds up momentum, which is the secret. If you don't ever take action in the simple moments, it becomes that much harder to do when it counts or when you have internal pressure to get an outcome from the conversation. The outcomes you want could be the job offer, getting a follow-up meeting with someone in business, or getting that girl's phone number to go on a date. The major secret is practicing social skills to get better at them. So what about the things you should say? Working on your inner mastery of taking that first step further each time is a daily habit that grows your social momentum more than you realize. That's starting with good morning or hello, then adding something like, "How are you today?" or asking about the context. What's going on here? Another secret is to give someone a compliment. It's a form of giving energy that will actually make you feel better instantly. After you start practicing pushing social conversations slightly forward on a daily basis, you might find yourself saying some incredibly witty things that you should take a mental note of. Try to recall them after your conversation, to write them down, or to listen to role models that say things you admire and incorporate them into your dictionary, and then build a database of the things you like to say. The secret is this: if you were a CEO preparing for an investor pitch to raise millions of dollars for your startup, you need a slide deck of 10 elements to convey your idea, and in a way that communicates effectively the value and opportunity for an investor to get excited. The same concept can apply to searching for a job, the business networking event where you're rubbing shoulders, a client demo call, or flirting with a girl. In business, there's a word called the avatar. The avatar represents the persona of the person you're trying to sell to. In the context of a client demo call, there's a system to follow. You can try to come up with your own system yourself, or steal one that's already been working for someone else. Don't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to. Copy what works. I got this from Alex Ramosi and applied it to our sales methodology, and it worked wonders in client calls. The first question, the opener, is, what made you want to take this call? There's potentially infinite ways to start a conversation, but typically people go with a few consistent conversation starters, and this one I found to be the best. The goal of a sales call is to listen to the customer, get information on who they are, what their pain points and goals are, what they've tried already, and then build a connection before explaining how your product or service will help them. The difference between a sales call and networking at a business event is there's less constraints on the purpose. This means there's more freedom and open-ended directions a conversation could go. It may feel more scary talking to a random stranger out in the real world versus talking to a pre-booked sales call that you can prepare for. But remember this mindset frame. You're both essentially two explorers that are in proximity. And because you're at this networking event, a shared physical location, you already have something in common both by being there. Initiating the conversation, taking some effort. A simple way to start it is, "Hey, what brought you here to the event?" It's open-ended. You don't know what you'll get in return, but at least you'll get some information on who they are, or maybe what they're looking for. In the dating context with girls, let's say at a night venue, a way to balance your interest to talk would be saying something like, "Hey, you seem cool. Thought I'd come over and say hi." The "hey, you seem cool" is giving her a sense that you are interested in her. But a more direct way of saying that you're interested in her, to skip any confusion, would be, "Hey, you're beautiful. I just had to come over and say hi." This signals to her that you find her attractive, but don't overdo it. The motto in sales is help them buy, don't sell. You don't want to tell her why she should like you. You should show it with your entire spectrum of communication. You want her to feel naturally intrigued because you're cool, relaxed, and vibe is charismatic. But how do you vibe and be charismatic? This is such a complex question. It's not going to be easy to answer in a short video. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, let me know in the comments. But some basic things that will improve your vibe and charisma skills, if you do them, notice yourself starting to judge yourself and let that go. Imagine the person you're talking to responding well, so you have an overall intention of connecting. What identity you take on, or your belief in the conversation, will dictate a large part of your subtle body movements, tonality, eye contact, and movement gestures that all signal to the other person how your spirit is feeling beneath you. A major way to improve your speaking is to start reading more books. Reading helps connect you with the musicality of words. How an author writes, when you read and hear the words in your mind, you can pick up on the vibe of the words. Another is to pay attention to incredible public speakers that you admire. Listen to how their tonality rises and falls and watch how they vibe. This form of vibe communication creates tension between what you say to soften parts and emphasize others for impact. Read 10 to 20 pages per day. You should Google the definitions for words you don't know, and in a journal or notepad on your phone, write them down. Writing is another incredible form of practicing communication and getting to know yourself. I'll also add that knowing yourself, being on your journey, and feeling good about your progress will ripple into your self-expression. It can be overcome if you're not fully aligned with the life you are living, but it's so much easier to communicate when you admire who you are. Having a core mission and feeling good about yourself is key to effective communication and requires a lot of experience to sound authentic during challenging times you may be facing. Having more words to choose from, but knowing your audience is important. There's a domain of surface words you know and most commonly used in day-to-day interactions that represent about 2.5% of your total word choice. Expanding that with new words from reading, writing, or listening to speakers and taking notes will increase your ability to communicate. There's simply a limit of what you can do unless you multiply the dimensions of your knowledge base with new combinations of words. Also, remember, words are forms of energy. They each spell something. In a way, you can think of words like magic spells. They are symbols of meanings that you project and absorb to communicate the vibe between you and the world outside. Next on the list to improve your communication is to consider your look. How do you appear to someone? Are you wearing tailored clothes? Are you clean, dressed sharp? The clothes you wear is the first form of communication someone can see before any words or vibe is shared. Having a decent appearance that's well groomed, a style that conveys you have good taste, and a dash of cologne gives off the total fragrance of your vibe in communication. All of these aspects intertwine, and when you max them all out, you become an extraordinary communicator. My final tip is practicing in front of a mirror or with a friend. There's so much that happens in the moment you can't control, but having some self-practice time, rehearsing how you would say something, will go tremendously far to accelerate your development. Practicing with a friend or a girl might sound silly, but in preparing for a sales pitch, you have to practice your script. Role-playing with someone is a key part of doing this in a business context. And if you don't get the practice in before the game, you'll be putting in your practice reps in the game. So if you can, try to find a sparring buddy that's also interested in working on improving themselves. In addition to this is filming yourself. Getting on camera and rewatching yourself will do wonders. There's AI note taker tools like fireflies.ai that joins all my sales calls and records them. This makes it easy to go back to rewatch moments, reflect, and take notes on getting better as part of the game. Also, what's really cool is the AI note taker gives a percentage of talking time to each speaker. So you can learn in sales, one of the major keys to being great is talking less than the customer. This doesn't translate over to the dating world where, as a guy, you are responsible for most of the initial talking. But after a few minutes, you do equal out as you start becoming more interested in getting to know who she is. This covers the video on how to instantly communicate better. Put these into practice and check out some of my other videos to better understand the dynamics of who you are and how to be the best version of you. I'm on this journey of self-discovery, just like you are, because it's my passion, and I'm honored that you stayed to the end. Thank you, and let me know if there's any questions you have, and I'll find a way to help. See you guys in the next one. Cheers.